What's up, y'all? Kusudi here. And listen, man, I want to share with y'all this concept. And this is the concept of you are more powerful than God on earth. And I know that sounds crazy. That may even sound controversial to a lot of people. That may even have a lot of people click off this video. But if you were one of the ones that stayed, then give me a few minutes and I'll show you exactly why. And when I say you're more powerful than God, I'm not talking about in this spiritual realm that controls everything. I'm talking about in this physical earth. And here's how I know that you're more powerful than God. It's because God has been telling you the calling that God has for you. God has been telling you to start that business, to take that leap of faith. God has been telling you what to do, and yet you still haven't done it. You've still been disobedient. You still chose differently. You still tell God, I'm not enough. I don't have the money. I don't have the experience. I don't have the people. I don't have the resources. So God is telling you what to do, but you're choosing not to do it. And thus you're more powerful than God. And the reason is that God has given us that power by giving us the power of choice and free will. See, without choice or free will, then you wouldn't be more powerful because whatever God's will for your life is the reality that you'll experience. And see, what free will is, it's the ability to do what your thoughts are telling you that you desire to do, even outside of it's what you know you need to do. It's having the ability to do what you want to do. That's what free will is. So God has given us wants and instructions. And a lot of times the wants that you have is not the instruction that God has given you. But you have to have the ability to override God's instruction for your life, which is your purpose, which is your calling, which is your mission, and only do the things that you want to do. So the moment, here's what spiritual misalignment means to me, is when God's will doesn't match up with your free will. That's when you are spiritually misaligned. But the moment your free will matches up with God's will, that is when you are in alignment in your life. It is not until you get into that alignment state and you start being obedient to what God is telling you to do that your life will start taking off to a whole different level. So you're playing God. You're allowing your wants, you're allowing the worldly things that you see override the meaning that God has for you. You're like, nah, I know I have a purpose, but I don't want to live in my purpose. I want to go chase this thing that makes money. And that's why it's not working out over and over and over again. Or maybe you're making a lot of money, but God is telling you, yo, there's a deeper meaning for your life, but you're not fully stepping into that. That's disobedience. And yet you're being playing more powerful than God in this physical earth. So if you want things in your life to start going to a different level, you have to start matching your free will with God's will. This is what's going to give you the fulfillment, the finances, the alignment, the prosperity, the happiness, the joy, the self-confidence, the self-knowing, the self-belief, and fully able to create the reality that you desire to experience. Because this reality should be matched up with the reality that God has for you. And you can't expect to get the abundance and prosperity that God has for you when you're being disobedient to God's instructions for you. So here's an example of what it means to be obedient to the instruction of the Spirit, right? So I teach one of these concepts, and maybe I'll make a whole different YouTube video talking about this, but there's a difference from ideas to instructions. And when you treat your ideas and instructions, your whole life will change. But I'll make a whole another video talking about that. But I remember it was right when COVID happened, or kind of a year, it was 2021. COVID was still taking place in LA. And I woke up and something was telling me that I needed to go to Africa. God was like, you need to go to Africa. At that time, I had a startup company. We raised $1 million. We lost a lot of money because COVID wiped out our business in a lot of different ways. I was at ends with my board members. I had a lot of business to do. This was not the time to just wake up and go to Africa, right? COVID was happening. LA was on lockdown. But God was telling me you needed to go to Africa. So long story short, I started looking up places in Africa. I'm like, where? God's like, I don't know, just someplace in Africa. I'm like, I don't know where, right? So I remember I made a Facebook post like, does anybody know anybody in Africa? My man Lucas hit me up, shout out Lucas, and he sent me a documentary. He said, I actually shot this documentary over this guy in Africa. His name is Dr. Mully. I want you to watch this documentary. Yeah, I don't even listen to a song when somebody sends me a 3-minute song, let alone an hour and a half documentary. But something told me to be obedient and watch this documentary. So I watched it, and there's this guy, Dr. Mully. I want you guys to go Google mullymovie.com. It's so amazing, right? Or Google Mully Movie on YouTube. It'll pop up as well. And I'm watching this guy, and long story short, he grew up in Kenya. He woke up when he was 6, 7 years old. His family abandoned him. He was homeless in Kenya from like 6 to 16. He went to Nairobi knocking on doors just to get work. A lady let him in, to be the caretaker for the house. The husband actually was the CEO of a business. So the husband started teaching him about business. And long story short, he became a multimillionaire in the 80s. And after becoming a multimillionaire, he had this revelation that God told him to go back and save the kids that were in the slums and the villages. So he stopped doing all his businesses. He started saving kids, and now he's built schools and helped over 10,000 kids in Kenya. I mean, it's this fascinating story. It's like a modern day Mother Teresa or something, right? And a modern day Gandhi or something. And he's still alive to this day, right? It's so amazing. So I saw this video and I said, man, I want to go meet this guy. So I called my homie Lucas back and I said, yo, I want to go meet him. He's like, all right, great. Like maybe towards the end of this year when we're off lockdown, like this is March of 2021. And I was like, nah, I want to meet him by the end of this weekend. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, God is telling me to fly by the end of this weekend. He's like, yo, that's like in 5 days and we're on lockdown. I was like, you just call and ask him, will he allow me to come by in this weekend? And long story short, I woke up on Wednesday with a vision to go out to Africa, and I ended up flying out by Sunday. When I got to Africa the first day, people would ask me, like, what am I going there for? Even my mom leading up to the trip. And I said, you know, I'm going to get whatever God has for me. So I know you've been in a place where you felt like God has something for you, regardless if it's talking to this person or working with a certain person or leaving a job or starting a business. But to you, it makes no sense. Sometimes it feels like it's the counterintuitive thing to do. But intuition is always the intuitive thing to do, even when it feels counterintuitive to whatever your life is telling you. Me going out to Africa at the time was the complete counterintuitive thing to do. But when people ask me, my mom, brothers, friends, like, yo, what are you going out to Africa for? My only response would be, I'm going to get whatever God has for me. That's my number one. I'm going to get whatever God has for me. God has something for me. God is telling me to go. And I'm going to be obedient to that and going to get whatever God has for me. And I ended up flying out there by Sunday. And the first day, I'm having breakfast with Dr. Mully. And he's asking me more about me. What is it that I do? I told him I speak on stages around this world, helping people discover and live in their purpose. And he said, hey, would you mind speaking to my kids? And I was like, yeah, no problem, right? We were on this compound. For context, he has like multiple schools across Kenya. And we were on this compound where it was one school and about 1,000 children. So I'm thinking he just wants me to walk next door, talk to the kids, and I could continue on with my safari and everything else to do, right? He came back with this itinerary. And this itinerary wasn't, hey, can you just go speak to these kids? It was like, this day you speak twice. And then this day we go to a different school. We speak 2-3 times. And this day we speak to the parents. And then I speak to the kids. And then I speak to the principal. And then I speak to this wasn't a speaking engagement. This was a speaking tour. And I was like, God, like, I didn't come out to Africa to do a speaking tour. I could have stayed in the States for that. And I remember pacing back down and God was like, well, tell me, what did you come out here for? And I said, well, I came out here to get whatever you have for me. And God said, what I have for you to speak. And I went and did a speaking engagement. And at the end of the speaking engagement, that's when I do the what's your, and they say purpose. And I'm about to clip in a video right now talking more about that. What's your? What's your? What's your? Guys, my whole name came from allowing myself to be obedient and matching my free will with God's will for my life. You see, when it's your free will, you're thinking about all the aspects and you're trying to be in control of what happens. When it's God's will, God just shows you one step. And the moment you take that first step, it opens up so much more. So if you want to start truly creating a life of alignment, and if you really want to stop being more powerful to God, that's why I say submit to the word of God. Whatever the God of your understanding is, Allah, Buddha, Jesus, the universe, whatever that is, by submitting to that force greater than yourself, you put your free will to the side, and then you align vibrationally with the will that has for you. And the moment your free will matches with that will, that's when you're powerful because you have spirit behind you. That's when you have confidence in what is it that you're doing because you know the thing that you're doing is the reason you were created to be in this world. And that's when your life starts transforming. If you want to understand yourself at a deeper level and start aligning your free will with God's will in order to experience that fulfillment, the prosperity, the joy, the happiness, the reality that you always desire to experience, the impact, then click the link below. I look forward to getting on the call and seeing what are the ways in which I can support you in this next season of your life. Match your free will with God's will. and watch your whole life take to a different level. If this video was of value and a reminder to you, I want you to comment below, what is the thing that you know God has been telling you to do that you haven't done? And let's like support each other in the chat, hold each other accountable for everybody else to start experiencing the life that God has for you. Comment below. I want to know what that is.